how do you develop an underground railroad, as he was just discussing, because there are tens of thousands of people who need to get out, and they're not getting out by Tuesday.
Yeah, the Admiral is absolutely correct, Shep. That is what we're now focused on, what we're calling phase 2, the Allied Underground Railroad. So there's a couple of ways that we're looking to doing this. First thing is we've got to have our Afghans, they've got to be able to purge themselves of any contact, any trace, any connection to us. What we've told them is all the documents that they've held on to all these years with such pride and care that showed their service with us and that they were prepared to use to try to achieve a visa and get to the United States. They need to take pictures of those documents and then upload them into the cloud and then burn them. They need to go to ground, so to speak, and go into hiding. We've advised them that if they can, they should try to get as close away from major urban areas as they can, go and hide with relatives in rural farmland, just try to blend in where possible and wait for further instruction. We're very concerned that the Taliban will likely shut off the cell phone and internet networks within the next couple of weeks. And if they do that, it's going to make communicating with these people remarkably more difficult. So what's going to be needed now is the Taliban are dependent on the same thing that the previous government of Afghanistan was, which is international aid. Let's be clear. The chief tech export of Afghanistan this whole time have been drugs. And unfortunately, now it's also probably going to include terrorism. Yeah. Which means the Taliban are going to be going hat in hand to the international community looking for aid. And we ought to use that aid as a leverage. We should be establishing some type of permanent humanitarian corridor, ideally both an air bridge and some sort of ground land convoy that will allow for us to be able to evacuate people as needed, when needed. And that's only going to be able to be possible if the Taliban agree to it. And as much as it disgusts me with that, the idea we have to continue to talk to these people, the reality is that unless someone forcibly removes them, they are currently in control of most of the country.
What are you hearing from people on the ground?
Shep, that's the question. Imagine if you woke up tomorrow morning, especially if you were a woman, and your life was over as you knew it. You weren't allowed to leave your home without a male relative escorting you. You had been fired from your job. We have a big debate in this country over what we should be teaching in our classrooms when it comes to our own history. But imagine if all of your education for your children was replaced with a compulsorily Islamic fundamentalist education, that the arts were banned, that music was banned, that sport was banned, because they are all considered to be sinful. That's what every Afghan has woken up to. And they now are coming to the realization that with this attack, that the United States' presence in Afghanistan is rapidly coming to a close, that as much as the president says we will continue this evacuation, the logistics of a retrograde make it clear. It's going to take about 96 hours to withdraw all of the U.S. military forces that had been sent into Afghanistan to facilitate this evacuation. If you do the numbers, Shep, that puts us in, end of the next 4 days or so, in which the U.S. military will be completely out of Afghanistan, at which point they couldn't continue to facilitate an evacuation. Afghans have also done that math, and they're panicked. They are feeling fundamentally betrayed, and they're asking people like me and the other members of the Digital Dunkirk Army, what should they do? And it's just tragic that once again, we have to be the people that are going to apologize. I mean, I've lost track of the number of Afghans who I've had to tell today, I'm sorry. I feel like we've betrayed and failed you. And they tell me, no. You, the American people, are amazing. You're our only hope. So what do we do next? And so that's why we're committed to this. The Digital Dunkirk Army is not going away. We've made a commitment. The motto is truly no one left behind. And that means until the mission is complete, no matter how long it takes.
I'm out of time, but one question. Is there a current military leader who should be relieved of duty as a result of what we're witnessing?
Shep, that's a great question, and I don't know. I will tell you this. Congress needs to have a formal investigation. This is as detrimental to our national security as the January 6th insurrection. This is the second time in U.S. history where we've had a chaotic evacuation at the end of a war, and it could have been prevented. We need to investigate this and then pass legislation and put into place programs to ensure that this never happens again.